Okay, so we're about to dive into an ancient text that pushes the whole idea of compassion to its most extreme and, frankly, shocking limits. This is the Sutra of Great Compassion, and it really asks a pretty profound question. What does it truly mean to give everything for the sake of others?
Right from the start, the text just throws down this gauntlet. It's not just a challenge, it feels like a dare, one that completely redefines what generosity even is. And as you're about to see, this is just the opening line for one of the most radical stories of self-sacrifice you've probably ever heard.
So, at the very heart of our story is a figure called a bodhisattva. Now, this is a being so filled with compassion that they make a vow to help every single other being in existence achieve enlightenment before they do. We're talking about a journey of selfless dedication, not just for one lifetime, but over countless eons.
And we get to see this vow in action in one of the Bodhisattva's past lives, when he was a king named Void Purity. He ruled over this huge kingdom and taught his people how to live a virtuous life. But for this king, teaching wasn't really about giving speeches, it was all about demonstration. His path of ultimate giving started with the things most rulers hold on to the tightest, their wealth. The entire royal treasury was just opened up, and he gave it all away, not reluctantly, but with this total, joyful abandon to absolutely anyone who asked for it.
But then, the requests escalated way beyond what anyone could possibly imagine. People started asking for his wife and his children. And what's so incredible is that his joy in giving didn't just continue, it actually grew. He wasn't just willing, he was genuinely happy to give them away.
And the tests just got more and more brutal. First, he gave away his entire kingdom. Then a beggar came and asked for his feet, and the king literally took a knife and carved them right off his own body. He then gave away his eyes, his ears, his hands, until there was almost nothing left of him but flesh and bone.
Mutilated and left for dead in a field, his final act was one last unbelievable gift. He made a vow that his own dying body would become a literal mountain of meat, an endless source of food to nourish all suffering creatures.
Now, this shocking story isn't just there for dramatic effect. It's a literal, hardcore illustration of a core Buddhist ideal called dana paramita, the perfection of giving. It's about practicing a generosity so absolute, so total, that the very idea of a self that owns things just completely dissolves.
But, total self-sacrifice isn't the only form of radical compassion. In another past life, the Bodhisattva faced a very different kind of problem, and his compassion took on a much, much more terrifying form. Instead of a gentle king, he manifested as a horrifying yaksha, a powerful and in this case, absolutely terrifying nature spirit. He basically showed up as a monster to confront a world that had become completely consumed by its own wickedness.
And his message was brutally simple. I am going to eat your flesh and drink your blood, unless you commit to living a virtuous life. Through this terrifying threat, he shocked an entire population into changing their ways.
This seemingly brutal act is actually a perfect example of another profound Buddhist concept, upaya, or skillful means. It's this idea that the right teaching method depends entirely on the student. Sometimes, to guide people toward the light, you have to use a little bit of the dark.
So the sutra then shifts gears. We've seen these incredible past lives, but what was the actual result? What was the outcome of eons of this kind of sacrifice and skill?
And here is the cosmic punchline. All that effort, all that sacrifice, it didn't just lead to his own enlightenment. The text reveals that countless other fully enlightened Buddhists spread across the entire universe were actually his students in their past lives. He was the one who lit the very first spark for all of them.
The text just starts naming them, pointing to every direction in the cosmos. You've got Buddhas in the east, the south, the west, the north, and the list just goes on and on, each one a being who owes their first step on the path to his ancient compassion.
The scale here is described with this term Uyang Ubian, which basically means limitless and boundless. The number of beings he helped is it's beyond what our minds can even comprehend.
So all of these past actions, they culminate in the Buddha attaining these miraculous powers. And these aren't just party tricks. They're demonstrations of a reality that completely defies the ordinary laws of physics and space. For example, the text describes an assembly of 12 nayutas of beings, and that's a number so vast it's basically countless, all gathered together to hear him teach. And where do they all fit? Inside a tiny little mountain cave
which simply expanded to hold every single one of them.
But if you thought that was mind-bending, it gets even crazier. The text then poses this unbelievable image that all the beings from every single world could fit inside just one of the Buddha's pores, without anyone feeling crowded at all.
So, what is an incredible image like that trying to show us? Well, it's not about physics. It's about consciousness. In a fully enlightened state, the very concepts we rely on, like large and small, inside and outside, you and me, they just completely dissolve. They don't have meaning anymore.
Finally, after all these incredible stories and cosmic visions, the Buddha is asked a really simple question. What should we call this teaching? What is its essence?
And he gives several names, actually, and each one highlights a different part of the teaching. But the one that really captures the core of it all is the Great Compassion Lotus, which is a testament to its central message. Ultimately, the purpose of this sutra isn't just to tell shocking stories. It's really a practical guide meant to show the truly transformative power of absolute compassion, a force so powerful it can reshape not just a single person, but the entire cosmos.
And that really leaves us with a final thought to chew on. After hearing about a king who gives away his own body and a Buddha who can fit a universe in a single pore, what really is the limit of compassion? Does it even have one?